Hello, everyone, and welcome to another LFC Transfer Room stream pre-match debate. I'm here today with Adam, just the two of us. In my opinion, the two favorites when it comes to LFCTR live streams.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, Adam, how are we feeling?
Good, yeah, good. I mean, confident. I know we kind of took a bit of a blow there that we just kind of recently found out about. We're going to get onto that, but yeah, I mean, confident. I mean, we should be feeling confident going into this game.
Yeah, I mean, personally, me, I'm still in the excitement of beating United
Yeah.
from a few days ago. That was a phenomenal win, and we'll need to win this one too to just be 1 point away from UCL spots. How do you feel about getting top four now that we've beaten United?
I think a couple of weeks ago I had kind of ruled us out altogether. I just think we were kind of heading in that direction, and that we might be able to salvage Europa League. But now we're in like a place where it looks a lot more likely, and it could happen. I think it's easy to kind of like talk about how we left it too late and we could have been in top four a couple of weeks ago if we had beaten teams like Newcastle and Leeds and if we hadn't drawn those games. But I think you're just in the stage now where you have to look at it like what we're doing, and like we're the informed team at the moment, surprisingly. So we have to just look at it from that point of view, and the fact that like we do have a great chance now. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of permutations that go into it, but I think my confidence levels now compared to a few weeks ago are definitely a lot more higher.
And before we go into the lineups, real quick, out of Chelsea and Leicester, who do you think is the most likely to drop off if we do get top four?
I think it will be Chelsea. I think Leicester are looking strong at the moment. They're obviously going to be coming, with a lot of confidence after winning the FA Cup yesterday. Like that was a great win for them. And I obviously like points wise, like there is that 2 extra points that they have over us compared to Chelsea. So I think that's gonna be huge for them. Um, I like you'd ideally want to kind of aim for third place because that's the only thing right now that guarantees you a top four. We obviously know that Chelsea still playing the Champions League final and how that can affect things. But yeah, at the moment I think Chelsea are looking like the team that are a lot more lower in confidence and could quite possibly drop points. It might not happen. They might go on and beat Leicester and win their last game. But yeah, out of two teams, I think at the moment they're probably lower in confidence.
So, in terms of the lineup, we have probably what I predicted: Allison in goal, Trent, Nat, Riss, and Robertson back in defense. Thiago, Fabinho, and Curtis in midfield, and up top Salah, Firmino, and Mane. I had predicted Jota to start, but as we know, he sadly got a foot injury, so he's going to be out. We don't know for how long, but hopefully he'll be back as soon as possible. Um, in terms of the bench, Origi's back. I think he was back for the United game, right? Pretty
Right?
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, we have a few youngsters: Leighton Clarkson, Billy Cometio, Ben Woodburn, a forgotten Liverpool talent. Um, but yeah, apparently from what I hear, I saw it in the LFC transfer room chat. I don't know how true it is. Apparently, Bobby's gonna captain today. I don't know how that's gonna be. I thought it would have been Trent, but we'll see how that goes. In terms of the lineup, how do you feel about it?
There's no real surprises. Obviously, there was that kind of disappointment of Jota getting the kind of late injury. I like that team there. Apart from Jota, was pretty much what I predicted. Like I predicted Jones to start. I think it's probably the perfect game for him to play in. I understand why he didn't play against United. I know last week you mentioned that you probably would have rather see him start against United. But I think this today is the perfect game for him. I mean, there shouldn't really be many surprises elsewhere in the team. I don't think Mane would have started if Jota was fit. I just think him and Bobby, last week coming off from scoring goals, their confidence obviously going to be high at the moment. So I think it would have made sense if Mane was on the bench again. But I would have expected him to feature a lot like more heavily in this game. But yeah, look, I mean, again, a lineup that apart from one or two areas, it's our strongest team essentially. Without kind of Van Dijk and Henderson at the moment, it's the strongest team we could probably put out. So I don't expect it to be an easy game, at all. I think the last three games are going to be tough, and I think they're the sort of teams that would love to make it tough for us. But yeah, definitely a win. In terms of Bobby being captain, Firmino, it is surprising. It's a surprising one. I wouldn't have him pegged as the player that I have there to take the captaincy next. I mean, if it was me personally, I probably would have had Andy Robertson there. I know a couple of fans mentioned that. But yeah, like you said, to kind of not see Trent, take it today is a bit strange. And Salah as well. I know Salah has kind of for a long time wanted the captain the game. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But it's definitely an interesting choice.
So I think I'm with you, thinking that it's not going to be an easy game. We've seen the team be quite unlucky against the bottom side of the table compared to the top side. And I mean, Sam Allardyce last time around did manage to get a little bit over us, but hopefully, I think a big plus from today's team is just well, first of all, everyone's running high on confidence. We're the team with the best form right now. We've been unbeaten in the last 7 games, and we're playing probably the 2 best midfielders we have today with Fabinho and Thiago, who, when they play together, have just been brilliant. And I think that's really going to help us a lot in the middle of the park, which will be heavily needed. In terms of goals as well, yeah, Jota being out is a tough one. He was running, he was running high on confidence, having scored a goal. Should have been 2 last game, but you know what? We'll take what we can. But I still hope to edge them out a little bit. We'll get into the predictions later on, but real quick before we keep on talking league, kind of want to touch on some of the apparent transfer news that have been around lately. So Florian Neuhaus, I think I don't know how you pronounce it. The guy from Mönchengladbach. Apparently, Borussia Mönchengladbach actually told Liverpool that we can go and sign him as long as we pay the I think 35-40 million release clause. Have you heard about the guy or seen him play or anything? What are your thoughts on him?
I've literally heard nothing of him. I did an article a couple of weeks back for the website in regards to we were linked with him and all the rumors and stuff. But before that, I hadn't heard anything. I mean, I think at this stage in the last couple of years, when you kind of look at the players we've signed, when you hear Liverpool linked with a player that is not like too prominent in the headlines, it's not necessarily a kind of time to say, oh, well, we don't know who he is, so it doesn't mean he's any good. We've turned players into world-class players that nobody had ever heard of or, hadn't been, that prominent or that successful previously. So I think the fact that a lot of fans might not have a lot of knowledge on him probably doesn't matter. But I think it will be a strange choice to go after him just because of the players that are available, that are also available out there for probably less money, that are probably better options to come in. I mean, when we look at buying midfielders, we're talking about more than likely coming in to replace Gini Wijnaldum. So we want to get someone in who we know is going to be able to kind of step right into that role and not take so long to kind of adapt. And I think that's fine. It is fine that players take time to adapt, but Liverpool are in a position now where we have to hit the ground running next season. And I don't think we can really afford that time to try and spend a whole entire year bedding players in again. So if we're going to go out and we're going to buy a midfielder or someone to replace Wijnaldum, it has to be someone that can step in instantly and do the job instantly. And I'm not just based on what I've read and what I've heard, maybe at the moment he probably wouldn't be the right choice to go for. Like I said, there's other players out there available, and 35 to 40 million, it's a bit steep. Not knowing too much about him, it's very steep.
Yeah. So going into one of the comments, apparently Klopp confirmed that Jota will miss the final 3 games. If that is the case, that is really unfortunate because, again, 3 must-win games with a player that, if he hadn't gotten injured against Midtjylland, we probably would have been higher on the table by now. Yeah. So him being out for the 3 most crucial games of the season is going to be a tough one. Do you think that despite him being out, it should still be relatively easier to get top 4? Or do you think that it's going to be a real blow?
It is a bit of a blow because I think he's the one kind of player we've relied on this season to if he's on the bench, he can come on and do a job. Why might he? He can come off the bench and do a job. So I think it is a bit of a blow in that sense, but there's no reason why we shouldn't win these games regardless. Jota wasn't there last season, and we would have won these games. It's not like, no disrespect to kind of the other forwards that we have on the bench, but it's not like we're in a situation where Jota's not fit and we have to rely on Shaqiri or Origi to kind of step up and do a job for 3 games. It's Sadio Mane, and he's not in the best form at the moment. But it's probably, it's actually probably a good thing for him. He's probably thinking, I can step in now. I can show people that I'm still great. I can hit form again. So it's not the worst. It's a blow, but it's no reason why we shouldn't win the last 3 games.
Yeah. Well, hello, Maddie. Welcome to the stream. Fan favorite. Real quick, your thoughts, lineup, Jota out, Bobby perhaps taking the captain's armband. What do you think?
I'll be made up with that. I think Bobby should have started anyway after his 2 goals. His goal the other day and his assist. I think he feels like he might be back in form. Obviously, it's massive losing Jota, but like Adam's just said, we won the league last year without Jota, so we should win these games. But as Liverpool, we've struggled against these teams all season, so I don't know. But if Bobby takes the captain's armband as well, no complaints there. He's been there the longest, I think. Has he now?
Out of the starting lineup, I'm pretty sure, that it's him.
Yeah, so he would get the armband then, but rightfully so. He's been there from the start with Klopp, and there's only other person who could have him ahead of him. It'd be Trent or Salah, but why not give it to Bobby? I think Trent or Salah would be more of a leader than Bobby, but Klopp just shows he's not really that bothered about the captain's armband.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about Florian Neuhaus, which was a possible transfer coming in. Let's talk about a perhaps transfer going out in Nat Phillips. He's been amazing for us thus far this season. I've absolutely loved him. I'm pretty sure that a lot of fans who didn't even know who he was are now singing his name. But looking into the next season with the likes of Van Dijk, Gomez, Konate, perhaps Kabak, and Matip, where do you see Phillips coming in? Do you think he should stay? Do you think he should leave? What's your best idea about it?
If he goes, I wouldn't be disappointed for him. I think he's done a fantastic job while he's been called upon. But he's 24 now. He doesn't want to be 5th, 6th string centre back. He wants to go and play week in, week out. I think he'd rather have a career where he plays every single week and maybe doesn't win anything than playing 2 or 3 times a season and winning some things. Look at Connor Cody. He's now Wolves captain off the back of him leaving to play football. So I think Nat would do that, and no hard feelings. I think he deserves to play football. He's a decent player, and he'll probably play in the Premier League for someone like Burnley or something.
How about you, Adam? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I totally agree with Matty. To be honest with you, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised in the sense that he could go, because no one expected him to be in there this season. It was more kind of, we were out of options, and obviously funds are tight going after, other players, and we didn't really replace Dejan Lovren. So it was a surprise that he was there in the first place. But yeah, like what Matty said, I think he's definitely good enough to play in the Premier League. I think he probably doesn't want to be sitting on the bench, which he more than likely will be all the next season. If the rumours about Konate are true as well, I mean, that just kind of puts him further down the pecking order, because I don't think Liverpool are going to spend 40 million on this guy for Nat Phillips to start ahead of him. Even though he might show, he might be good enough. But yeah, I think the incentive is looking at the centre halves we have coming back and the ones that we possibly have coming in. I think we spoke about it a few weeks ago. It's not going to be a case we go into next season with 7 senior centre halves. It's just not going to happen. And yeah, I think unfortunately Phillips probably will be on that list. But look, after the great season he's had with us, we can only wish him the best of luck. And I do think he is definitely good enough to play with another Premier League side.
And on the other side of the defense, what should really happen with Rhys Williams next season? Should he go out on loan? Should he be sold if an offer comes in? Or should he just stay be a backup defender?
I think he'll stay in the under 23s. He is still very, very young. I think Liverpool's centre back crisis has probably hampered Reece's development in terms of the route he was probably going on. We loaned him to get him into the Harriers last year to toughen him up a bit. So I think he'll probably go in the under 23s with Cometio and continue his development. And then maybe in a few years he breaks through in the first team or we sell him on. But I don't think he gets near the first team when we're fully fit.
So, Maddie, I'm here being trying to stir up a little bit of drama. Of course, Ben, the tactical master, did a few weeks ago, pretty sure, talk about a possible formation change with Konate coming in, with us playing 3 defenders at the back and having Robertson and Trent work as wingbacks in the midfield. Could you see something of the sorts happening now that we're going to have so many defenders, or do you think that Ben is just crazy?
I think Ben's been playing too much FIFA because 5 at the back works on FIFA Dream, but I wouldn't have 5 at the back. I'm not a fan of it. It's negative football, in my opinion. I mean, I know Wolves player that's basically 3 at the back with 2 wing backs, but Trent and Robbo play as wing backs basically anyway, and we're all right with 2 at the back. Van Dijk's quite capable to have players. Van Dijk's like 2 men, isn't he? But I wouldn't go to 3 at the back. I think that's just nah. It's just stupid. It's negative football. You're taking someone out of your midfield or out of your attack to play them at the back. It's if you was to play 5 at the back, who are you taking out of midfield or attack to put the 3 centre backs in? There's not one person who. I mean, I'm struggling to think of a predicted lineup for next season with the amount of midfielders we've got. So never mind taking one of them away.
And Adam, if we do stay with 2 defenders, which is the most, with 2 center backs, which is the most likely outcome, who would you start alongside Van Dijk if Konate and Kabak do come in?
It all depends when we get Konate. If we manage to get him early in the transfer window and he has time to kind of train with the rest of the squad and do a full pre-season, then I would definitely have him starting alongside Van Dijk. And I think that's mainly because we don't know what the situation with Kabak is. Kabak is still very young as well. I know Konate, fair enough, is young, but I think Konate has a bit more experience with a kind of better side in the Bundesliga. Joe Gomez will obviously be back as well, hopefully. I like Gomez. I think he's a good player, but I think before his injury, he had a lot of shaky moments. And I think if it was a case that if he was beside Van Dijk, it would have been different. But even towards the end of last season when we won the league, there was a couple of shaky moments there. And it's always been a kind of, it's almost like a loop that we're kind of seeing. It's like Gomez is either injured or off form. Matip comes in. Matip is injured then. And then it's Gomez again. And it kind of keeps continuing. I would like to see Konate start with Van Dijk if he comes in, but at the same time, I wouldn't be against Gomez and Van Dijk because it is the safest partnership at the end of the day. We know they've played together before, so it's not going to be taking a risk at all in that sense. But yeah, I mean, I would if we're going to bring a guy in for 40 million, we should be bringing him in to start. Put it that way. Like I don't think we should be bringing him in to kind of sit on the bench for the first 2 months of the season. Like, I mean, he is going to have to take a while to get embedded into the league, but if we're going to spend 40 million, I think 40 million should be going directly into the first team.
So, Maddie, in terms of today's game, West Brom obviously already relegated. Do you think they'll go out with with actually wanting to go out and win, or do you think they simply don't care as much since they've already been relegated?
Playing against the Premier League champions, they're going to want to beat us, aren't they? That's the way I look at it. But I mean, the fact that they've already relegated, the fact the whole bottom 3 is already relegated, we should be winning West Brom. We should be. If we're not winning the Salah's celebration for me after Man United showing just how much the players know them last 4 games meant to them. So when Liverpool have needed to win in the past, we've won. And I do think we will get the win today.
Honestly, I've generally and even all of these rumors about Salah being, he doesn't want to be at Liverpool anymore. That he wants to change. Even after that celebration against United, I've still been hearing these rumors. I've always thought they're nonsense. I think that celebration itself showed us how much it meant to him to score that goal. And honestly, I didn't even realize until after the game that he got the armband from Trent. I think that was really good. He clearly wanted it before in the Midtjylland game, so I think it's well deserved. I think Salah for me is clearly a player that wants to be at Liverpool, that wants to play for the team. I mean, he said that he'd give up the Golden Boot every year if it meant we get top 4. Which it's all about the media having an agenda against Salah, but at the end of the day, we know his worth. And talking about his worth, apparently Liverpool are willing to accept 80 million at the very least for him, and PSG are interested if Mbappe leaves. In the 1 in a million situation that Salah does actually leave for PSG, who would you sign as a replacement, Maddie, then Adam?
80 million for Salah, I would never sell him for that.
No.
If you had to sell one of the front 3 this summer, I do think it probably would be Mane. I'd be devastated because I do love Mane, but Salah's numbers, you'd rather keep hold of that, to be honest. But if you was selling one of the front 3 for around 80 million, I think the ideal replacement would probably be Sancho, wouldn't it? If he's going for 80 million, which is what's being reported. So I'd love Sancho. And for me, the ideal situation would be Jota on the left, Salah down the middle, Sancho on the right. It's like a whole new front 3 then, isn't it? And it'd be quite tasty. But I don't think Salah would go for less than 160 million in today's market. He's got to be worth that, surely. Like, his numbers are crazy. He's the best African to ever play in the Premier League, and I think he's got to get something stupid like X amount of goals to beat Drogba or something. Drogba's all-time goals at Chelsea, and Salah's still got 98 games to do it, and it's only something stupid like 30 goals. So he's world class. You can't replace Salah. You just can't do it.
Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I would not let Salah go for anything less than like 200 million. And that seems like a ridiculous figure with COVID and all. But if you're selling Neymar to PSG for 220 million and he hasn't really probably lived up to that price tag, and it's impossible for anyone to think to live up to 220 million, Salah should be going for at least the same, or like Matty said, around that figure, 160 million. 80 million for Salah is absolutely crazy, and we should be doing all we can to tie him down to a new contract. I know there's been talk going on about, we don't know, Liverpool haven't spoken to him, all this. We should be doing all we can to tie that guy down, because as frustrating as he can be in some games in regards to, when he's on the ball and he loses the ball, and like Matty said, his numbers are ridiculous. If it's a case that he's going to turn up and for 80 minutes play crap and then score 2 goals with 10 minutes left every second game, I mean, I'm not saying that's what he's done this season, but if that would be the case, I'd still have him there. Like, his numbers kind of speak for itself. You can't be getting rid of a player like that. I mean, if he wants to leave, he wants to leave. Klopp's always said that he's not going to stop players from going, but he seems quite happy. And if you have a happy player there, I mean, like, of his quality, we should be doing everything we can to hold on to him. Again, I would agree with Matty by saying Sancho, it would be the most likely replacement if we were to sell kind of the likes of Mane or Salah. I hate to kind of crap on some fans' party, but like, Mbappe isn't happening in 2021. It's probably not happening in 2022, and it's probably not happening in 2023 either. I can't see Mbappe coming because he'll just be priced out of market for everyone. I realistically can't see a team that can afford a guy like him at the moment, or a guy like Salah. Like, if Liverpool really wanted to sell Salah, we couldn't get him out the door if we tried, because with COVID, it's just going to be impossible for teams to kind of bring up those funds. So, like, from everything what we've heard lately about Sancho possibly going for around 80 million, I mean, yeah, that would be the most likely replacement. And he's young, he's a fantastic player. Like it would make the most sense.
So I'm seeing a few comments here. So to start off, Klopp has to be blamed for this season. Not replacing Lovren when he knew Matip was a sick note. Then sticking his midfielders into defense is stabilizing the attack as well. I'll go on record to say, yeah, not the smartest move, not replacing Lovren, but I wouldn't say that Klopp is to blame. No one expected Van Dijk, and Gomez, and Matip, all three, to be out for the entire season. Of course, the plan was to have Fabinho as the fourth defender. We just didn't expect him to be that defender so early on. And sticking him into defense for the time he was in defense, I think that was justified. I mean, let's be honest, he played better than, in my opinion, Joe Gomez did last season in defense. I think Fabinho was amazing. Of course, he's a better midfielder than a defender, but he gave that stability that kept us in a lot of games when he played in defense. Yes, Henderson in defense wasn't the best, but we can't really blame him. We can't really blame Klopp for it either. It's, injury crisis. An injury crisis can happen at any time. Unlucky for us, it happened for players in the same position at the same time. Kabak obviously brought a little bit of stability. That game against Leicester, not the greatest, but I don't blame him either. He was just in. But realistically, I don't think it's anyone's fault, in my opinion. What about you guys? Adam, how do you feel about Klopp being at fault for the horrific season we've had?
Look, I mean, I think when you have a season like this, everyone has to take share of the blame. Like the manager, the players, everyone. And Klopp will say that himself, like in any interview, if he was asked the same question. Like the blame falls down to the manager and the players. Like in fairness, yeah, I mean, Klopp did make a couple of mistakes this season, but there were games where Liverpool, and we've seen it only recently, we can use recent examples, like had boatloads of chances in games when they had Mane, Salah, Firmino all playing and they couldn't finish it. Like that's not down to, they got the defense sorted out in the end. Like, I mean, I know it took us a long time, but we got the centre of defense going to sort it off. It's solid enough. And we got Fabinho back in the midfield. So there was a period there that we had a lot of time to kind of redeem ourselves and get into a position where Chelsea or Leicester would have been chasing us rather than the other way around. And I think a lot of that is down to, players not taking chances in games. And we've seen it recently. So I think, everyone is to blame for this season. But I definitely couldn't stick it solely on Klopp. I mean, he was up against the wall facing a situation where your two best centre-halves are injured. We already know Matip is injury-prone. And then you're kind of left with, the likes of Nat Phillips and Williams, who in fairness to them have done a decent job. But you can't solely blame the manager for this season. You just can't.
So, Maddie, to add to that, as well as this comment saying, if you had stuck with the defenders, they would have been top 4. Do you think that if we had started Phillips and Rhys Williams earlier in the season, we would have been better off, or do you think it was right to play them when we did?
I would never have put Fabinho at centre-back, though he was world-class there. In the last 6 games, he's played central defensive midfield. We've won 5 and drew 1, haven't been beat. So, I do think we would have been top 4 if you kept Fabinho and Holden. I think he's so important there. We would have conceded goals, but in the first season under Klopp, we had a really poor defence. We just outscored the opposition. So we could have done that this season and probably been better placed in the league. And then maybe being more sensible in the Champions League, like put Fabinho at the back for the Champions League when it's a bit more like tactical. But I do agree. We should have played them earlier. It's one of those things, though, isn't it?
To this one here about Salah's selfishness causing Mane's goal form to drop off, I'll have to disagree with that opinion because in a lot of games, Mane has had his chances. He just hasn't tucked them away. And yes, Salah can be a little greedy at times. I don't think anyone can deny that. But I mean, he set up Mane for his last goal. I don't think that Salah is solely to blame for Mane's drop-off. Mane himself has been, he even came out and said that he went to get different tests to try and figure out what was wrong with him, why he wasn't playing at his top level, and he didn't find anything. So realistically, for him, it seems that it's all a mental thing about this entire season with the entire team, not only him. But I think it's a little bit harsh and solid to say that he is to blame because of it. I think that he could be, I think his selfishness could be a little bit of a part of the reason why he hasn't scored as much. But realistically, Manny himself hasn't been top form either. And again, it's all when it's a player's problem, it's all a team problem as well. But yeah, would you guys be opposed to keeping all center backs, Van Dijk, Matip, Gomez, Konate, Phillips, and Kabak, and rotating around them because we need squad depth? We could go to 3 at the back. We talked a little bit about 3 at the back, but about keeping all center backs, in my opinion, would just be a bad move for the players themselves. But how do you guys feel about keeping all of them? Maddie, since Adam already talked a little bit about it.
I'd let Matip go because he's made the biscuits, and Phillips will probably go to play fussy. So then you'd go into the season with Gomez, Konate, Van Dijk, and Kabak. So you've got 2 players for each position, which I think we need. So if we only had 4 centre backs, I don't think you're going to have all 4 centre backs injured at one period of time again, such would like. But that's the 4 I'd like, because then you've got, even if no one gets injured, then at least in the cup games you could maybe have Gomez and Kabak, and you start and pair and beat Konate and Van Dijk. So I do think Matip and Phillips will probably depart this season. Only because Phillips will want games. It's not fair to expect him to be 5th choice centre back when he could go and get games somewhere else.
Actually, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago that I read an article about Klopp apparently saying that he'll be relying on both Reece and Nat Phillips for next season. Highly doubt it that he does rely on both of them unless all of our defenders get injured again. I think that's the only way we'll actually see something like that happening. But a little bit of a different one, me personally being a lover of our academy. We've had Trent, Curtis, now Reece Williams. Who, if you guys know about some of the players in the academy, who do you want to see feature a little bit more next season and shine a little bit on the first team, whether it's in the cup game or even in a league game? Adam?
To be honest with you, I right now I would probably say no one going to next season. I think we've already kind of taken like Reece Williams from there. I think I would like to see Harvey Elliott come back. I don't think it's going to happen, because I think he's still too young. You could probably do it a bit more experience. I think we're in a really kind of careful position where we have to be really careful in terms of who we play when we're not playing our starting 11 constantly, even in cup games. I just don't think we're going to be doing a lot of dipping into the academy next year to really kind of reinforce the squad, and even in cup games, because we're in a situation now where we have to be going for everything again. Like, we could have been in a situation this season where we didn't get top 4, we didn't win the league, but we still could have went for the League Cup, we still could have went for the FA Cup. But as we've seen in the last few years, Klopp is kind of solely focused on, obviously, the European Championship, Champions League, and the Premier League.
And
sorry, no, I was just going to say. So yeah, I think it's probably, we definitely need to add to the squad more than just 1 or 2 additions, and I would like to see us add to the squad, but I would like to see us add to the squad in the transfer market rather than taking players up. But it's definitely something that we need to kind of start considering. I mean, it's definitely the players that we have in the moment. Fairness, Williams might go back to the under 23s, like Matty said, but even Curtis Jones, if you look at the development of Phil Foden, totally different players, but Phil Foden was given a chance and he kind of took it by both hands. I think Jones deserves more of a chance, and we should, see him featured a lot more next season.
Matty likes hearing that, definitely. He has played 30 games this season, though, Curtis Jones.
True.
So I'd like us to see us not buy another midfielder because I feel like if we got a new midfielder in, even if Genie goes, it sort of maybe might block the pathway for Curtis. I do think you could rely on Curtis next season. I think he's definitely good enough. He just uses class. Always looks. He's dead cocky on the ball, and that's what you want in a football. Someone who knows the good. And I don't think you need a replacement for Genie either. I think Curtis Jones is the perfect replacement.
So a little bit of an outrageous one here, Matty. Would you give Mane 20 million for Sancho?
I'd give Mane for Sancho, not on 20 million, because if Mane's definitely worth 80 million, and if that's all they're selling Sancho for at the minute, then yeah, I'd give Mane for Sancho, but not on 20 million, because that's putting a 60 million valuation on Mane, and he's definitely worth a lot more than that. But then he is 29, isn't he? So 20, 28, 29. So he's coming into his peak. So yeah, straight swap. I'd do.
So we're nearing the end of the stream here, guys. So want to hear both of you, your score predictions, who's going to score, and where do you see us ending the season at, Matty?
I'm going to go 4-0. I think Firmino will get 1. Salah will get 2, and Jones will get 1.
Adam, how about you?
I'm going to say 1-0, and I'm going to say Mane, because I know Big Sam loves upsetting people, and he's going to love upsetting us today, and he'll do his best to try and make sure we don't get top 4. So I think he's going to make it as difficult as possible. And as we've seen in the past, we find it difficult to break teams down when they put up low blocks, like West Brom did this earlier on in the season. So I think they will turn up today, but I still think we'll beat them. I'm going to say 1-0. I'm going to say Mane. I think Mane will score.
I'm going to go middle of the ground. I'll say 2.5. I'll say 3-0. I trust the boys at the back. I'm going to say, you know what, just because I want to see Salah win that golden boot, I'm going to say 2 from Salah. I'm going to a little bit of a curve, something that I, kind of want to see happen, but we all know won't happen. But, I'll say, you know what, Ben Woodburn goes in at the 89th minute and scores. Why not? Let's say that. But yeah, thank you, Maddie and Adam, for coming on. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for tuning in. We'll be back in post-match with some of the other guys as well. So look forward to that. Hope everyone enjoys watching the game, and hopefully we come out with the 3 points. And you know what? If Origi scores, I'll shake my head. Why not? I'll say that. Right? No one clip it. All right, guys. All right. See you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.